Boom, what up everybody? This is Sean Keith. I'm here live and this is Hear Me Out. I'm an artist, actor. I do all kinds of different digital work and creations, but my whole aesthetic is pretty much like artistic creator. I got a whole mind that just goes crazy, and I have the ability to just like place things in a certain ways. You know what I mean? Just create. Someone gives me an idea, and I'm able to create it for them, and that's my whole mind. I just have this mind that just keeps going, and I feel like I'm put here to just create and not stop. So they call me the creator. Not really, but bing. Background goes back pretty far. I'm just turned 43 years old. I'm originally from Minnesota, just like an hour north of the Twin Cities. I pretty much grew up on a potato and corn field. It was like a farm that my dad had bought when we were children, and there was no neighbors or nothing. And when I was 10 years old, my dad got a job in Las Vegas. He was a carpenter. So at 10 years old, I lived on this potato cornfield, and then I moved to Las Vegas, and this was in 1992. So that was just a crazy culture shock, 100%. I didn't know what I was looking at, from the mountains, from the landscape to the culture. It was crazy, but it kind of paved the way to how I am now, and it gave me my artistic ability, so it was super cool. So from the age 10 all the way until when I graduated, I grew up in Las Vegas. So it was, it was crazy to say the least. There was all kinds of different stuff happening, from running around with my friends. We started off rollerbladed, and then we started off skateboarding, and then a lot of us did graffiti and painting, and that's where I kind of got into dabbling with sketching and drawing and just doing little artistic things here and there. But my biggest thing was skateboarding, and then I ended up doing snowboarding, and I became a teacher actually up in Big Bear. So I taught snowboarding for a few years. So and then after about, I think it was the year 2000, this is when I graduated high school, and then moved to Los Angeles, California. Lived out there with all my homies and just pursued acting and kind of just lived out there and had a great time. A lot of my friends were pro skateboarders and DJs, and kind of just lived a life out there. It was really, really fun. I was able to kind of just express myself and kind of find out who I really was. So, but before I knew it, time went by. It was very quick. I was out there from the age 21, and then before I knew it, I was 30 years old and kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do with life. And it was crazy. A lot of things happened. I was working 3 different jobs, and the funny thing is, I would work these 3 jobs, and I'd be so busy. I'd be so busy through the days, but when I'd come home, I'd be so worn out. But I'd do drawings and paintings, and I would paint my ceiling and little things, and this would help me to de-stress from these days that I had. Even though I was worn out, I'd come home and paint. But when I was doing this, I never once thought about selling artwork or anything, that was the crazy part. So it was right around that time when I had turned 30 years old. I met some girl in Hollywood. Long story short, we got married. And right around that time, I was like, what am I doing out here? So me and this girl decided to move to Germany, where she was from. And long story short, we had kids together. They're twin girls. They're now 11. And I lived out in Switzerland for 3 years as a stay-at-home father, and that's where my first piece of artwork sold. I tried to look for some artwork, and it just wasn't nothing I could find out there in the place we lived in Switzerland. It was like a small little village, and you just couldn't find nothing like that. So that's when I just started painting a little bit more. I painted a few pieces on canvases for the bedroom wall, and then I posted them on my Instagram page, and that's when I got that first message of someone asking me, you sell artwork? You sell any of these pieces? And then in my head, I was like, what? No. And I responded like, no, I haven't, but I will. So yeah, so it was, right in Switzerland when I had made these pieces for my daughter's bedroom. This is right around 2015, and that's right when I started the Instagram page. Posted some of these pieces on there, and this guy asked me if I sell any of the work, and that's when it all clicked. I told him, I haven't sold any pieces yet, but I will, and he bought a piece from me. And after that, right then, it was just like, it was crazy. When people tell you that, like, that light, that light bulb strikes in your head, or some kind of idea hits you, or the fuel that flames something of a passion, like, it was that right there, the guy who bought that $150 piece for me, you know, and it was, I remember I lived in Switzerland and I had to ship it to Florida, so I ended up having to pay about $80 to $90 for the shipping. So I didn't make nothing off of it, but I made a lot because I made that whole mental knowledge of me, you know, telling myself, wow, there is room to be an artist and to put my passion out there and to create and, you know, and possibly make a living out of it. So that was it. 2015 with my daughters. That's pretty much the reason why I started painting and how I sold that artwork. So that was very cool. A lot of, let me see, right around 2018, I had gotten a lot of commissioned work and I was working like crazy. I started working with different resins and spray paints, and I did a few pieces that I had met Soulja Boy, and a buddy of mine had known him pretty well. He put me in contact with him, but I drove out to Malibu and met Soulja Boy at his house, and I gifted him a few pieces, and then he ended up buying this table from me, and then he bought another piece while I was there. But that right there kind of put a little something on the map, because he kind of did a little shout out, and people were like, what happened here, this and that. And Soulja Boy was actually like, you know, obviously not the biggest or whatnot, but he was so humble in the way that he kind of just like bring me in, and, you know, not just me, you know, some people, a lot of these rich people, they won't buy nothing, they want it all for free. But he, you know, I gifted him a few pieces, but he bought a couple as well. So that was just a blessing, and that really motivated me a lot, like just made me feel real confident and stuff. And right after then, I had sold a few other pieces just to some big name clients, a philanthropist, an entrepreneur that lived back east, and just certain pieces. Like I had sold a couple of these to a client that he owned a very big company in Minnesota, and inside of his office he owned a really cool, I forget what the dinosaur, the name of the dinosaur was, but he had the dinosaur bones inside of this case. And then he commissioned 2 stormtroopers for me, and he had them on each side of the dinosaur case, kind of guarding it. So that was a really cool experience for that client to buy that from me and to have it set up like that. Kind of yeah, it was super cool. So, and with all my artwork, I do a lot of resin. So, you know, when people see the resin work, that kind of hit them different. It just it made certain materials pop from the glitter and whatnot. So when the client saw those, that really struck them, and it got me through to certain clients. So that was cool. There's been so much work, and there's pieces that I'm still working on that are my favorites, but probably the piece I've completed that's one of my favorites is it's a resined table. It's a donut table. That's why I call it the Homer Simpson donut table, because it's a huge circular mold with about 4 gallons of resin, but I have a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts that are encased inside the resin. Yeah, it's a 45-pound like block of resin, a circular table, and on one side it's all Simpson comics. You flip it over and it's clear, and you can see the donuts inside of it. And it's over 3 years old now. You know, some people said it's gonna mold over time and whatnot, but the donuts have stayed the same way, and it's just really, really cool, man. Like, I kind of did that piece out of an experiment to try like new things with the resin, like deep pores like that, and encasing objects, and it came out really, really cool. So that's definitely got to be one of my favorites. Check it out. The piece that means the most to me would probably be, you know, it's not just a piece. It's a character. It's a whole idea. That I have kind of came up with, and it's pretty much this piece right here. This is Moneybag Marty, and this is a character I came up with. And it's the reincarnation of a good buddy of mine. His name was Marty Jacobs. So this is that's just a 3D print right there, which is pretty cool. But the whole idea is to do a whole line of different, from sculptures to paperweights to digital NFTs and whatnot, and then have utilities added on the inside of the bag. But yeah, the whole story of it comes from Marty Jacobs. This was my buddy right here. He was kind of like a grandfather to me, and he has a lot of history in Vegas. He was like a Vegas OG. He was hired on the movie Casino for 2 weeks as a consultant telling stories, and he ran the Fremont Hotel. So, and when he was a kid, he grew up in Brooklyn. His name was a Crazy Kid from Brooklyn. But yeah, he passed away tragically in 2020. It was a very, very horrible story of we had a house fire out here, and we lost Marty in the house fire. So it's very difficult to talk about, and it was definitely been the hardest thing that's ever happened in my life, the most tragic. It took a long time to come back from it, but Marty came through, and he's the one who gave me the sign of telling me that he's okay, and he just wants me to keep pursuing what I'm doing, and that's where the Moneybag Marty came into play, and the whole the idea of just kind of using Marty's story to kind of to tell it and to keep it alive, and then to also create this whole line of cool works and cool motivational artworks that I can spread with people and tell his story. So yeah. So my fashion is a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool story as well, because I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 82, and I'm an 80s baby. Back then, there was a lot of cool nostalgic cartoons, a lot of cool retro, like back in Minnesota where I'm from, we used to wear these things called Zubas, and they were really only in the East Coast. The NFL wore them, but they were kind of sweatpants with zebra print and whatnot, and I always remember how much I loved those. But as I got older, when I moved to Vegas, you know, right when I was 16, I immediately had to start working, and I worked really, you know, clean-cut jobs where I was either a food runner or a valet attendant or a bar back, and I had to be clean-cut or just all black or, you know, no color at all, you know. So, and I worked for forever, all the way up until I was 30. I was just working and hustling, and I never really got to express myself or wear the things that I really wanted to, I guess. It took that long for me to realize that, you know, I was always just, you know, just wearing kind of basic shit. And then it wasn't until I sold my artwork and kind of like found myself as an artist and whatnot, I started being able to pick off different clothes and wear color and wear pink and wear things that I never would have wore before. I would color my hair now, and that's when I started coming up with different palettes. And it's a like kind of a retro, old school 1980s nostalgic vibe. Would have, you know, a lot of vibrant pastel colors or fluorescent colors mixed in with those patterns from different, like I love the wild, you know, animal style, the zebra print or cheetah print thrown over those like bright colors, and that's my vibe. It's kind of nostalgic, and it brings you back to your childhood, and it's fun to me, super fun. So, boom. All right, so growing up, like, sheesh, man, like that's what I was going back to. My whole aesthetic and vibe comes from my childhood and whatnot. So there was a lot of it, you know. But my favorite IP growing up would probably be something like DuckTales. That whole vibe, the cartoon. I mean, I didn't watch tons of cartoons. It was Saturday morning, and we got to, you know, whatever was on, I was watching, and DuckTales was one of them. And that was just the whole music, the Scrooge McDuck, the money, and I do a lot of commission paintings that have to do with DuckTales and Scrooge and whatnot, and you know, the success type of going after it, motivational stuff, and it's just, yeah, DuckTales is my shit, for real. I love it. The original shit though, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Scrooge McDuck,
yes.
Jumping into the
Dude,
money.
diving in, dog. Everyone wants to feel that one day, you know? Even though you can't dive in the money, you just hit your head like, get knocked out. But no, I got a big 6-foot piece at the crib right now, but it's Scrooge diving into the money, like, and that piece always goes, you know. I love it. You know, if there's something going on in that now, people will reach out, even if they don't like it. If something's happening right now, it kind of just hits them, or otherwise, like kind of iconic figures or anything motivational and whatnot. You know what I mean? If you just creating a piece that has some kind of like, you know, for someone to look at it and just go, damn, like it inspires them or kind of uplifts them. That's why a lot of my artwork has, you know, the money in it or the high-end fashion like symbols. It's not nothing about any of that, but it's about the fact that, you know, if you want to get it, you got to work hard and go out there and get it. So looking at some of these art pieces, it kind of gets you motivated to go out there and get it like that. So. Yes, definitely. I'm still learning a lot. You know, it was right around 2022 where everything was popping big time. Everyone, you know, people were selling all kinds of stuff. I dabbled into it and started drawing a whole collection. And I did a collection, and I'm still working on it actually, that has to do with Moneybag Marty, and doing a whole collection of that. So, and I'm still learning, but I believe that NFTs are the future of everything, not even just artwork. It's going to go into the, you know, real estate and all kinds of things, but I'm learning, I'm teaching myself, but I'm also taking in any kind of advice and whatnot. But yeah, NFTs are definitely where it's at, for sure. Man, like yeah, back in the day when I moved to Hollywood after I graduated high school, that was like the main passion. Also, was acting, and that's back there was when we first started getting into it. But it was mainly just background stuff. I never did nothing too big. I did background for CSI and then Dexter, and we did yeah, CSI Dexter. But then we got a role. I got a role in the movie. It was a background role, but I was right next to the main actors, and it was called The Grind. And this was with like Bam Margera, Ryan Sheckler, a bunch of old school skaters. But that one was pretty cool, The Grind. I think it was like in 2003. And then I kind of had a hiatus. I did skateboarding, snowboarding, did all that stuff. And when I moved to Switzerland, boom, the kids, this and that. So now I'm getting back into acting, and definitely want to pursue it. Just last year at this time, I got picked to be in the Beast Games, and this was a new game show for Amazon Prime with Mr. Beast. So I got into season 1 of the Beast Games, and I could definitely say that's the most notable, television or any kind of thing that I got into it as far as production wise. And this was the biggest production. They did a lot of world records and whatnot on that, so that was a blessing to be a part of that season 1, and it was very, very insane. Like, just to get into season 1, before that, it was 2,000 of us, and we battled inside of the Allegiant Stadium for 4 days. We did 4 different challenges until there was 1,000 of us. 1,000 of us left, and I was part of that 1,000. So I was a part of that 1,000. So then after that, the 1,000 moved to Toronto, and that's where we began the Beast Games. But unfortunately, I got knocked out on day 2. So yeah, it was definitely an experience though. For what I really want to see with my artwork is the main goal is for me to be able to just to be able to have people that they can't afford my artwork. I want to be able to have them have the opportunity to have it, or to be able to just give certain people the opportunity to obtain my work that can't. And on top of that, I want to just get it into all the art galleries that have my type of artwork, and or hotels or nightclubs, anything that has to do with the type of artwork that I'm doing. My goal is to get it there, and I don't want to stop with just walls or canvases. I want to paint everything from yachts to boats to cars, and then do the designs on wraps. So, at the end of the day, I want to be able to just be traveling and then run into my artwork, see your artwork in different places, or see people wearing your gear. And that's, I think, what would be very, very amazing, and just let you know that you worked hard and you pushed through it and you made things happen like that are, usually close to impossible. You just got to push. So the goal is to just see it out there, and to see other people inspired by it. Let me see here. Maybe a big I'm not too sure. It's crazy how things work with the art game and this and that, but I feel like a lot of people, when I first started selling artwork, it kind of did move quick, and I was able to get through. I worked hard though, and I hustled, and I just networked, and I got through to certain people, and I was lucky to get into certain galleries. And I remember in the very beginning, I got my artwork into some galleries where there was some other artists that were there that have been working hard for 10 years plus. And then they're like, who's this dude coming in here? This and that, having his pieces listed at this much and shit. And and I feel like there might have been a little bit of hate, and there might have been a little bit of I don't know what it is, but people feeling a certain way about my prices being high. Maybe I listed them too high, or maybe people thinking I'm too good, or maybe better than anybody else. And I would love to clear that up, because where my inspiration comes from, it came from everybody else, all the other artists and everybody I watched and seen. And I just want you know what I mean? Like, I definitely don't want to step on anyone's toes, or, try to do anything else or sell higher pieces for anyone else. Like, definitely nothing like that. I got my pieces into certain galleries, and they listed them at certain prices, and then it just kind of got me into a gray area where that's just how it goes. So would love to clear it up if anyone thinks I'm like big-headed or trying to, be someone I'm not, or this and that. I'm trying to support myself, trying to move forward, and trying to grow as an artist and support me and my daughters. And yeah, a lot of these pieces that get worked on for hours and 20, 30, 40 hours, they cost thousands of dollars. So people do got to realize also that's just what it is. I know a lot of artists that have really dope pieces that are just the same, but they'll get rid of them for a couple hundred, and it's just, I can't do that for the most of the time. But yeah, passion, baby. So at the moment, working on getting my own art gallery and studio in Las Vegas. But in the meantime, you can find all of my artwork. A lot of the originals are posted on my website. That's SeanKeithArt.com. And also follow my Instagram, Sean Keith Art, at Sean Keith Art, and same with the TikTok. I've been using my TikTok a lot lately, and I've been going live all around Vegas, and I'm gonna start doing treasure hunts, dropping pieces around the city for people to find. And then I'm gonna start doing little games at the house with a spinning wheel and different things that I can do for the live chat where people can win free pieces and merchandise and all kinds of different stuff like that. So follow Sean Keith Art and follow all my socials, and yeah, hop on and just let's have fun and create and motivate and inspire one another. Any advice that I got for anybody? I got a lot of advice, but I'll tell you guys a few different things. It's just, you know what I mean? Like in the very beginning, keep yourself organized, keep your head on a swivel, keep your head, you know what I mean? Like, you know, have your confidence level strong, but just stay focused and just beware that it might take a while. You know what I mean? Anywhere from years to multiple years, you got to work really hard. And especially if you run into little problems, you might want to give up. So if it's something you want to do, whether this is art or music or whatever, you're going at it, you usually, I mean, for the most part, 99% of the time, you're going to run into problems. No one just cruises through. I mean, it happens. People have overnight success, but there's problems. I've been going since 2015. It's 10 years now. I've had multiple issues, from the house fire to all these things that just kind of crippled me, bring me right back to point A, and had to start from the beginning. But I told myself I can't give up. I can never give up. You know what I mean? I had to keep on going. Otherwise, like all these other people and yourself, you're gonna let down. So it's like, this world is just too crazy. You just have to keep on going. So the main thing I'm gonna tell everybody one thing. The main thing is to just never give up and just have patience, dude. And I love to live by these three words. They're the 3 P's. It's passion, patience, and persistence. So it's just like, have that passion and keep it alive. But be patient, because I'm at 10 years right now. I'm going hard, you know what I mean? I'm still working hard to make things happen. I'm not where I need to be, or, you know what I mean? It's still hard work. So patience, and then persistent. You know, you got to be persistent. Keep going. Just keep going. Keep pushing stuff out and just never stop. And that's it. Let's get it, everybody. All right, y'all, this is Off the Grid Network. We're here with Hear Me Out. It was a great time. I appreciate you guys hopping in and listening to my story. There's a lot more. We'll tell you guys more in the next time, but peace out. This is Sean Keith. I love y'all. Yeah.